I don't know who should have this controller right now. I'm gonna be completely real with you.
Why don't you just get up to the part where I was pretty much at? Just get to the first boss, and we'll just bullshit our way through this.
God, this is pretty. I don't know if
Great game.
I don't know if I want to watch this or not. I genuinely haven't opened this game since.
It came out.
Yeah.
Really, you only played it through once?
Yeah, I played it once.
You like this or the original more?
This for sure. It just like it does everything good about the original. Like it just makes it look a lot more pretty and just.
So gameplay wise, it's
exactly
the same. Okay, that's cool.
God, man.
Sick. Some 300 shit
I know.
right there.
Too bad I'll be doing none of that.
Like it's more like, oh, that's more like it.
Yeah, for real. I'm just like, oh yeah, just add like 20 of those. Ugh, dude. Don't get me wrong, the gameplay of this is fantastic, but when are we going to get a like a really rich combat knight medieval? Like I don't know exactly what I'm describing here, but like make it look like this, but you're actually playing it. Like give me Arkham combat, but make me a knight and make it feel like Dark Souls at the same time.
That would be fucking dope.
I don't know.
I mean, well, Shadow Mordor kind of did that.
Did it?
That Lord of the Rings game?
Give me a Sifu with knights.
Give me a Matrix game that plays like Sifu, dude. I'd be all about that.
Which is funny, because, like, I don't even give that much of a shit about, like, medieval times or anything like that.
Do you
like,
have a drink?
Huh?
Do you have a drink? Cheers, bro.
Cheers, bro. I'm surviving off these today.
Me too, dude. All right, it's time to fucking lock the fuck in, dude.
Dude, welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
To one of my favorite games. It's pretty up there. I don't know if it's in my top 5, but
So, little context. We actually did not plan on playing this game at all for this channel. We had multiple discussions about it in the past because I am very new to this franchise. The only game I've ever played that's by From Software is Bloodborne, and then I played a little bit of Elden Ring, but never played any of the Dark Souls games, never played any of the Demon Souls games, so it's like most of the time, it's like a lot of the time on this channel, it'll be me showing him some games that I've played. So it's kind of a nice that for once, it's more like he's showing me a game that I've never played because he's very familiar with these games.
dude, and like it's just so easy with this game, Dark Souls 1, not Dark Souls 2,
Right.
to just so fall in love with like these games. Like I look forward to how richly engrossed you get into these games, because
Yeah, dude, I've played a little bit of this, and that's kind of why we're doing the video now. Is like I was just in my room playing it, and bro was just coming in and see what I was doing, and we were like, dude, we should be recording. So we're here. We had multiple discussions in the past, just because you mentioned to me that you felt like it would be better for me to kind of like play the game on my own, in which I was having a good time with it, but I was actually really vibing with us just doing what we normally do and playing the game. So we're like, dude, let's just fucking record it.
I wanted to like play, like do a speed-ish run of Dark Souls 1, but like I never imagined us playing through the series like this in this fashion.
Sure.
I don't know how to describe it. I mean, I'm super down for it. Like the vibe I was just getting of hold on, let's check our give, by the way. I don't know if there's actually any good
So I've
gifts.
gotten all the way to the first boss of this game because we were literally just fucking playing it on my PlayStation for like an hour or two. Did not plan on it at all. Like I'm saying, this is all winging it. But I'm just gonna have him take the reins till at least the first boss, just so we can get caught up. I mean, maybe if you die or something, I can jump in, but like he's much better at these games than me. He's got a lot more experience under his belt, but then we'll just kind of pass the controller back and forth and then be along for the ride, dude. Do you want to do the whole fucking
we
franchise, dude?
We
Like,
can. I've only beaten Dark Souls 2 once, and not because it was hard, but because I was like, I've owned this game for so long. It's due time that I beat it, and it's so forgettable. But I'm down to do it just so you can kind of experience
Yeah, I told you in the past, I plan on playing 2 anyway. Just, I mean,
The big thing why I
the
didn't...
only fluke it seems like in the whole franchise.
Yeah, it's not the fault of Miyazaki. He wasn't working on that. Fucking Bandai was like, well, we need to push out another Dark Souls game.
Dude, that sounds like RE3.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
RE3 was like just them pushing out a game, while the real RE3 I was telling you is Code Veronica.
Cody V, dude.
Yeah, dude.
I'll never utter that phrase again.
That was a combination of words I don't think that has ever been uttered unless you're a guy named Cody and your last name starts with a V.
I'm so sorry. No, the main reason I kind of wanted to sway away from doing these on the channel was because you did start Demon Souls, and I didn't want anything that I was doing to ruin any of the potential mysticism of these games, because like these are such a like be up late at night, headphones on, blanket over your shoulders.
Dude, you're right too, because I literally did that for like the first 4 or 5 hours of me playing the game. I just locked in, just turned the lights off, just got super engrossed. And I can tell you right off the rip, I know it's people have already sung high praise, but I will say my opinion regardless of what everyone else is saying. But in this case, everyone is right. These games, or at least this game in particular so far, is fucking incredible. Incredible. Like, I mean, the atmosphere, the graphics alone are incredible, but taking the graphics out of it, gameplay is super polished. I mean, it's just so immersive, and the gameplay loop is incredibly rewarding. I'm still very early on in the game, but I am really enjoying my time with it.
Oh man, like atmosphere is like I'm very curious as to later down the line how you're going to, and I'm sorry if like you guys wanted us to acknowledge like the intro cutscene. It's not that big a thing.
Yeah, I've seen all this too. So like I said, I've gotten all the way to the first boss, so that a lot of it probably will be just kind of us just dicking around talking until we get there, and then I'll probably lock in on like what's going on with the story and stuff.
Yeah, any new information. But like I think the atmosphere in these earlier games does so much more for me personally. I don't know how you'll exactly feel about it. I'm curious. I'm so curious. Would you like to play the journey to the Nexus? Yeah, this is your guys' first time seeing this on the channel, so we'll do that. You know, there might be a lot of non-Souls players. So I'll have you take this because this is like the tutorial-esque area. God, man, even just this like loading.
So sick, dude. It looks great too.
Like, that's
like,
a fucking screensaver right there,
dude. Like one of the best looking games on the PS5 to date, dude. Like this game came out what 4 years ago.
That's like the fucking space magic pussy right there.
Dude, that's the demon inside, dude. That we gotta touch.
That's the magic beef curtains. Oh, dude. Yeah.
All right, let's do it, dude.
Atmosphere, like...
Yeah, like, look at this. The lighting, all this shit. Like, what a hell of an intro.
The grittiness, like, the mossy texture. Like, it goes a long way for me. And
Oh, that's great.
I'll never sing high enough praise about these games. Yeah, so, it was a weird introductory. Outside of fighting games, this is my favorite, like, air quotes around genre. Because, like...
Sure.
Like... Before I was the fighting game guy for a lot of people, I was like the Souls guy. Like
You know what? I think a reason why these games work so well and they like really resonate with a lot of people is that there's something old school about its formula. Very old school, very traditional video game. I mean, it's like one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? I mean, a lot of games are very hand-holdy and, you know, like try to cater to the player as much as they can to make the experience more cozy, which I mean, there's you know, a space for those games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. But I think there's less and less games that are in this style these days.
That
you know?
demands something of the player, of proficiency.
That really try to push you, you know?
So oftentimes around when the first Dark Souls came out, you know, a lot of people weren't calloused to that way of playing games for like a while. Like there's many stories about like I listened to like podcasts upon podcasts about Dark Souls because I just wildly fell in love with these games. And so many people were just like, yeah, I tried Dark Souls at first and then like I got my ass beat and then I put it down because it was just too fucking hard, and then I came back to it, and just after I came back to it I just fell in love. And I'm just like, dude, that seems to be like the common experience. I don't know about these days. I think a lot of people well, this was like before From Software's reputation was like massive.
Well, I think a lot of people do that, myself included, because it's like they go into the game with a certain expectation because of where the industry can be as a whole, you know? A lot of developers borrow from each other when it comes to gameplay ideas or loops. And so you'll see a lot of games kind of have that familiarity from something else that you've played. Dark Souls and Demon Souls seems to be separating itself from that herd by making its own gameplay loop. So I think, you know, not for everybody, but I think a lot of cases it's people were expecting something. When the game didn't give you what you expected, they put it down. Then when they came back to play it and tried to just appreciate it for what it is, they're like, wow, this game's actually offering something fresh.
Yeah,
and
such a tight package too. And I mean, there's a reason why so many people have since tried to copy the formula. I mean, predating these games' popularity, there wasn't like a billion Souls-likes. Like, if you wanted a game where you played as a knight or a magic dude, you either played this or Skyrim.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, those games all also have like their own thing going on with them. That's why Bethesda was, you know, on top of the world at one point.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, it seems like this developer doesn't miss, which is a nice thing to see, man. The only other thing I could really equate it to is my favorite franchise, which is Resident Evil. I feel like there's a lot more duds in that franchise than this franchise has.
I mean, how many fucking titles are...
Right, but in the sense of like they started something, they broke out of their own mold in a way in the 90s, dude, doing something completely different than anybody else was doing, fucking inventing a genre, you know? Like currently right now I'm playing Silent Hill 2, and you can tell they borrowed a lot of ideas
the DNA,
from Resident Evil.
Evil Within as well, which I mean, you know, same dude that was leading the project.
Yeah, Shinji Mikami. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a reason why there's a whole bunch of that DNA in there. I mean,
Yes, sir.
Evil Within 2 reminds me of, like, the precursor to the new remakes of the Resident Evil games. Like, it was... I think Evil Within 2 came out in 2017, which was, like, a shade full of years just before they started remaking. So,
I think you're right, actually. I think at that point we had Resident Evil 6 still. And then people were fed up with what... See, 5 and 6, I like them for what they are, but they are not survival horror games.
No,
and I think people were fed up with that at that point. So Evil Within was like a nice change of pace, going back to a formula that they honestly should have never ventured away from.
Well, I mean, say what you will about, like, the way Capcom got to where... or kind of veered off, but, like, you know, eventually over time they kind of regrouped into, like, a newfound solidarity and, like, a good standing with their fan base. I think they finally know what they are now. I mean, Capcom's been
hitting it out of the park, not just with Resident Evil either. I mean, shit, Street Fighter.
Shit Fighter 6, yeah. I'm kidding. I like that game. Yeah, I mean, I put 150 fucking hours in the game. I hope I like the game.
For real.
Oh, Chumby.
Holt's also a big fan.
I know, he loves Dark Souls. He's a fan of Bark Souls, actually.
Bark Souls.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Prepared a walkie edition.
Prepared a walkie.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that I know that haven't given these games a fair shot. Like our friend Troy is kind of the example of that. Like our friend David really likes these games as well.
I know quite a bit of people that like these games. I also know people that were like me for a while that were just like, I tried and couldn't get into it. Like, just something about it just didn't click. You think this game is the good starting point?
Hold up a little bit.
It's a good thing you caught that now. We might have to put a little disclaimer at the beginning of the video, because I don't know how bad that looked.
Yeah, it's all right. I'll edit around it.
What was I just saying? Okay. So you think that Demon Souls is a good starting point for people to get into the franchise?
Yeah, either Demon Souls or Dark Souls 1.
Why do you think that is? Just because it, like, we talked about it a little bit when we were playing in the room, but you'd mentioned that it's like a little bit more of like a basic idea of what those games end up expanding upon, and you want to kind of venture off on that a little bit?
So like, I think these early games teach you the fundamental tools that you'll need to kind of succeed in the later ones, because the AI, especially for the bosses and whatnot, gets so much more sophisticated down the line, and then you're wondering like why you're getting your ass whooped is because, like, yeah, I mean, the the AI like sophistication is just so much more advanced. Like they don't fall for like these same gimmicks, but like the foundation that you learn these skills upon, like I just taught you how to backstab earlier. That learning that skill now pays dividends later. Like not everything is susceptible to that like method of attack, but to the things that are, and you kind of can cheese like that. Like it's nice that there's a foundation there. These early games, Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1, are not that hard. Like they're a little tough for sure, but I mean, like you'll see down the line, like just things are just much more generally punishing, and that's just aided in part by like things are just a little bit more sophisticated now. Like there's advancements in technology. We can afford to program these basic enemies a little bit more differently. Yeah, I mean, Dark Souls 2 is a great example of this. Like,
you recommend this version of Demon Souls over the
almost
original
definitely.
too?
Okay. Plus, it's easier, ironically, to get your hands on a PS5 versus like, hey, go play this on PS3. By the way,
is it on PC? The original? No.
It is just on. Which, it appears Sony hasn't learned their lesson, where it's just like, let's just have this on one console. Let's not outsource it at all, even though a lot of people would like to buy this fucking game.
That Nintendo is egregious with that. Holy shit. It's like, you want to play this game? Well, you need to buy an N64. They've gotten better over the years, I will say that.
Oh, for sure.
But, God, it was bad.
God, this dude is cool looking. So this is cool. Like a... Let's say a mandatory, not mandatory death. Because you can beat this guy. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
I thought I could roll into him.
It's tough. Plus, like, with your armor being, like, hefty, your equip load, like, your roll, you don't have as many invincibility frames. That's why people like fast roll.
Yeah.
Is because you have more iframes. But now, we're back to the Nexus.
You get over, Captain?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you told me, you're just like, oh, hey, we might be playing this on the channel, but I'm still playing this in my free time, by all means.
Oh, I am. I'm going to.
I would love for you to
I want to play it, like, just to have beat on my own PlayStation. But the one thing I will say about this...
Dude, she got them golden fingers.
Is, there's an enemy that I was stuck on for a while. Not a big enemy or main boss type enemy at all, but that fight that I kept dying at, I wanted to beat it. The game actually made me go like, oh, you know what? Like, it's not the game's fault that there's something that I'm doing that I need to learn to try to beat this. And I had a desire to keep going back and trying to beat him. And then when you beat him, it doesn't matter that he didn't drop you anything good, or it doesn't matter that like it wasn't a bit main boss. It was rewarding because you accomplished it and you knew it was difficult to do. That's the only issue, or not the only issue, but it's one of the few issues I have with modern games. Not all games do this, by the way. There's plenty of games out there that are great, that are modern, but there are a lot of modern games today where I feel like it's, like I mentioned earlier, very hand-holdy, very like, it doesn't feel as gratifying to get this thing accomplished because it didn't take all that much effort out of you to get it. And there's something special about games like this where it's like it requires you to be, a little wise on what you're doing on your next move. Like, that's kind of the reason why I like playing like survival horror games on their harder difficulty. It's like, okay, I've got 3 bullets. How the fuck am I going to clear this room?
Yeah, 3 bullets,
whatever?
A piece of gum. Like,
literally, it's like I got a single herb and 3 bullets. How am I going to get through this? Then when you figure it out, you feel like a brain genius because you're like,
this dragon, I used to think it had like tentacles, but no, it just has a fuck ton of bodies in its mouth, by the way.
Dude, I've shit my pants when I got through this on my playthrough.
Oh,
like,
you're a girl dragon.
He fucking just sweeps up that whole bridge. I was like running my ass off.
Dude, I thought it just had like weird tendrils coming out of its mouth, like fucking Davy Jones or some shit.
What large teeth you have.